Hello, and welcome to Observing Actuality. My name is Harmonic, and today's insight on shadow work is so important that I decided that I wanted to show you rather than just telling you. So do you know what shadow work is? Have you ever heard of it? I can tell you what it isn't. It isn't prowling around in the dark like Batman. It isn't making shadow puppets on the wall, and it isn't struggling to read when the power goes out. Maybe somebody that thought they knew something about shadow work told you something like, be a man, or tough it out, or deal with your issues when you're going through something. Yeah, but mostly no. Shadow work is something that we should all be doing, regardless of our age, gender, or station in life. And I bet 90% of you have no idea what it is. And that's just crazy. That's super, just epic level crazy. 16th century Latin defines crazy as full of cracks. That's it. That's all crazy means. Full of cracks. And by that definition, we're all crazy, including me. I'm not exempt from this, and you. Oh, that's sweet. You don't believe me. Okay, humor me. Try this. Look at the front of your hand, or the back, right now. I'll wait. I'll give you a second. What do you see? Little lines, little patterns, little separations, or cracks, like I said. And you can see this on any part of our body, our skin, our hair, whatever you look at under a microscope, you'll find these little fractures, divisions, or cracks. And that pattern is not isolated to our physical body. We have them in our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual bodies as well. And today, we're going to discuss the deepest ones, the ones you keep falling into because you can't see them. And they're wrecking your life. Okay, so here, I have 3 containers. This represents life. It's just water, but it's the energy that you get from life. It's everything. It can be what feels good, like fun, friends, or laughter. It can be what feels neutral, like entertainment or work. And it can be what feels bad, like pain, embarrassment, hurt, trauma. It's everything. It's just energy. And here is you, or it's all of us, the way we typically end up as adults. Remember all those cracks I spoke about? Just pretend that they're in this bottom part here. This extends, and we don't have access to this area yet. So we haven't reached our potential, so this is just where we are right now. This is all of our cracks down here in this inaccessible area in one spot. And here, we have what you do with the energy that life gives you. This is your environment. This is your job. This is your relationships. This is your hobbies. Everything you build with the energy that life gives you. Now, what's in our cracks? What's in our shadows? I say what's in our cracks. Look, grow up. This is serious. Don't worry about what's in the cracks. When we're young, our values, understandings, and perceptions are molded by our environment. The self-aware part of our brains haven't developed yet, so it's just monkey see, monkey do. Whether it's good, bad, toxic, or healthy, we copy the behaviors that we see going on around us. We get our esteem for ourselves, how to react in certain situations, how to treat other people, all in what we see going on around us. And if we don't examine that, those unconscious behaviors and patterns will follow us for the rest of our lives. So that's what we're going to touch on today. So, as a kid, if you're smooth all at one point and you experience some embarrassing or traumatic event, it can shatter you all in one shot. And all that negative energy has to go somewhere. And guess where it goes? Right in your crack. I did it again. Bear with me. Okay, so now let's run this experiment. Let's see what happens when we put the energy of life into you. Yeah, that looks great. You can't see this, and I know you can't see this because you don't have x-ray vision. This isn't clear. But look what you do when you put this into your environment. Yeah, that's delicious. That looks beautiful right there. And we're at about, what? 200 milliliters. Remember that, 200. That's what you got. That's what you built. This is your life. And now as we put our output back into our input, and that reflects back to life, yeah, this is what life is going to give you now. And if we continue the cycle, this is life giving you energy, again. This is you making your environment, again. And assuming that your cracks don't get cleared out, this cycle is just going to continue. Now, you can't see this while this is happening. You're used to this. You think life is giving you lemonade. Like, why is everything so hard? You can feel it. You can feel it in your anxiety at the beginning of the day, your anxiety at the end of the day, your tough relationships, your hard job. It's like you're getting the messages, but you just don't know how to interpret them. That's your shadows trying to get in touch with you. You ever met someone that you tried to get to know through text, and you send them a message, and you know they read it, but they don't respond? It's frustrating, right? Or maybe you have a friend that's constantly doing this to you. You send them a message, they don't type back, and you see them in person, you say, hey man, why do you always leave me on red? Why don't you respond to me? And they just change the subject or gloss over it. It might put you into a frenzy. That is exactly how your shadows feel. They may not be important to you at the time, but they're a part of you, and that makes them important. Anyone that's ever had a bruise or a sprain or even a hangnail knows how cautious they have to be with their condition not to exacerbate it, not to make it any worse. And when your shadows send you a message in your self-depreciating image of yourself, or your frustration with your job or your relationship, and you just scroll through Facebook, you scroll through Amazon, you scroll through TikTok, you play the game, you watch the game, you're ignoring your shadows. And they're just trying to get in touch with you to keep you from limping through life. Dr. King laid out one of my favorite quotes by him. He laid out the framework for doing this kind of work. He said that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. You have to give your shadows unconditional love in the form of acceptance, understanding, forgiveness, openness, awareness, because hating them, pushing them away, ignoring them, none of that is love and none of that is going to work. You have to be open to these things because they just want a voice to speak, and if you don't give it to them, they will take it. They'll take it when you're triggered, they'll take it when you're hurt, when you're alone, and when you don't want to pay attention to them. So listen, there's only 4 steps to resetting this cycle. 4, and I'm going to give them to you right now. Number 1, whenever you have something in your life that you don't like, a pattern that you notice, something that you'd rather not experience anymore, you just ask the question, go as far back in your memories as you can. If you didn't have teeth, perfect. You ask, when is the first time I ever remember feeling or seeing a pattern like this? And be patient, guys. You're unraveling years of conditioning. You might not get the answer all at once. It might take some time. It could take weeks. But be patient with that. So ask, when's the first time I ever remember seeing or feeling this? Number 2, you examine how you're responsible for continuing the situation. What are you doing to perpetuate this cycle? Why do you keep putting yourself in crummy relationships? Is it something in your beliefs, in your perception about yourself that you believe you don't deserve anything more than an entry-level job or minimum wage? Does work have to be hard? Can you not ever get what you want without putting in so much time and effort and energy first? Examine that, because things don't have to be that way. Number 3, you forgive whoever gave you your shadows. Whoever did this to you has their own shadow work to do too, and they have no idea unless you show them this video. But everybody has shadow work to do, and most of us are unaware. We're just perpetuating cycles of pain. So forgive those people. Give them grace, and that will in turn reflect to you. And number 4, now that you've done 1, 2, and 3, and you have the understanding, you know where these patterns came from, you're healing your inner child, you're forgiving yourself, you're forgiving others, clear that negative energy out of there. Cracks give dimension. Cracks give flexibility. Cracks give texture to things that would otherwise be pretty monopolized without those extra layers. Put in there what you want to experience. You want more love, you want more experiences, you want more abundance, you want more openness. You put that in there and you see what happens. This is an ongoing process and one that we really have to be patient with. So now, when we run this experiment of life and you've done the work of adding more love, more clarity, more abundance, more understanding to your life, you're full. You got a whole extra layer there that you didn't have before. And this is you doing the work. It doesn't have to be concentrated, hard stuff. It can just be a little bit at a time. So now, life energy goes in, fills you up completely this time. And because you've done the work, you have the confidence, you have the love, you have the understanding, you have the forgiveness, you have everything that you need to create a better experience for yourself. And you, in turn, build a beautiful, abundant environment. Remember, this was at 200 before. Now, We're approaching 440, guys. That's double the value. And this goes back into life. And life takes the energy that you give, the frequency that you're on, the level that you're on now, and returns it back to you to match who you are and what you're doing and what you're trying to have. And the more you change yourself, the more that'll go into your environment, the more that'll go back into life. This is beautiful. This is awesome. This is you having what you wanted. This is you creating the experiences that you wanted to make. This would have been impossible before. Now remember, the goal here is not perfection. It's awareness. Because perfection implies that this work is done, right? And it's never done. There's always a deeper understanding, a deeper love that you can have for yourself and your experiences. Now we think that we need to change the world by toiling out there in the world. But I'm showing you in this example, it doesn't work that way. We have to change ourselves first. And that will translate into every other area of the cycle. After all, if you want to learn how to build bridges, you have to change something in yourself, the knowledge, the understanding of learning how to build bridges, and go out there and do it. And if you want to spread unconditional love, you have to have unconditional love for your whole self first, the light and the dark. And that'll give you everything that you need to build what you want. That infinite light that we have inside of us, that animates and activates us, that light that's the signature of life, has infinite reach and power. But that's something that we can only experience if we intentionally aim it. Whatever happened to you, whatever gave you your shadows and your pain and your hurt, that's not your fault. That is never your fault. But it is your responsibility that determines your return on it. I say responsibility here intentionally as two words because it's a skill, not a position. It's something that we have to actively use, and that will decide what we can give with what we've been given. Dr. King grew up in a world where he was conditioned to believe that he was less than human. And because of that, he was beaten, abused, and harassed. But he started here first. He dug the shadows, the gunk of that negative energy out of there, the shadow of fear, of rejection, of conditioning of the world as it was, and he replaced it with what he wanted to experience. He said, I have found the space for this within me. Let me share with you what I found. This is where pure, lasting, penetrating happiness comes from, guys. Having all the pieces, the light and the dark, the things that you like and want to encourage, and the things that you'd rather hide, and putting them all together to build the life that you want. Dr. King changed the entire country because he integrated his shadows and exposed the understanding of his light. Imagine what you could do once you choose to do the same thing. That's it, guys. Thanks for joining me on insight number 2 on observing actuality. Next time we're going to discuss joy and high vibes and how to maintain a good life. You notice a pattern here. It all starts with you and your thoughts. My name is Harmonic. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to always breathe with curiosity.